Next, I'd like to welcome on stage David Corscadden, Acting Project Lead for MicroCreds, to reflect on some of the key achievements of the project over the past 6 years. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Claire. I have to admit I'm still getting used to that new job title. Thank you all for joining us here today. On behalf of the MicroCreds Project team, both past and present, I'm delighted to mark this monumental milestone with you all. Today marks the culmination of over 5 years of hard work and dedication for many of the people in this room. When I first joined the project, I was immediately drawn by its clear ambition to reimagine lifelong learning in Ireland. Having worked in higher education and coming from one of the participating partner universities, I was under no illusion, though, that that was no easy feat to achieve. The project proposal called for innovation, agile approaches to higher education to address future skills needs and help Ireland make its ambitious lifelong learning targets a reality. As we sit at this pivotal moment between project phase and mainstreaming, it's important to reflect and acknowledge the huge amount of work that's been achieved by the project in what is relatively a short amount of time for higher education. Our MicroCreds Final Report, which you'll find here today, shines a spotlight on just some of the innovation that's been achieved across our 8 partner universities. I believe, however, it's crucially important to acknowledge that much of the truly groundbreaking work of the MicroCreds project happened behind the scenes, from developing shared frameworks and policies to adapting systems and finding workarounds to meet the needs of lifelong learners. Much of this work will go unnoticed apart from those who are working behind the scenes in universities. But it was this time-consuming work that has really allowed us to move the needle on what lifelong learning provision in Ireland actually means. The MicroCreds project was designed to be transformative across universities, scalable across the entire higher education system. We recognise that micro-credentials are not a new phenomenon in Ireland, but what was new about this project was the bringing together of individual groups of institutions working together on a shared goal, sharing learnings, with the ultimate aim of supporting and making lifelong learning easier and more seamless for both learners and enterprise. Central to us achieving this was the 4 clear pillars that we based our work around. The first pillar focused on the establishment of a coherent national framework for micro-credentials. This was the core foundation of all the work that we've achieved. By agreeing common definitions, standards, and a basic understanding of what micro-credentials are, it provided us with the clarity and the confidence, not only for learners and employers, but for the institutions that were engaging with them. The framework, which has gone on to be used across HCI Pillar 3 projects, ensures that flexibility could sit alongside quality, recognition and trust, creating a shared architecture that enabled innovation to happen at scale. The second pillar of our project is centred on structured, data-informed collaboration with enterprise. Spearheaded by Dr. Emma Francis during her time with the project, this sustained engagement ensured that university partners worked closely with employers of all sizes and from all regions to really identify priority skills needs. This work ensured that micro-credentials were not only academically robust, but also directly relevant to workforce demand, supporting upskilling, productivity, and talent retention across the economy. The third pillar, though, is the one I'm most passionate about. It's also the reason I look much older at the end of the project than I did at the beginning. It is, of course, Pillar 3, which focused on the access and visibility of micro-credentials to both learners and enterprise through the development of a centralised platform, MicroCreds.ie. During one of the many international site visits we've received since the launch of MicroCreds.ie, a colleague from the department, who shall remain nameless, remarked that we managed to build a government-funded website that doesn't look like a government-funded website. I still regard that as one of the highest compliments MicroCreds.ie has ever received. How we achieved this was by putting the end user as our North Star for every decision we made during the build stage and the development of MicroCreds.ie. The development of the platform created a national shopfront for micro-credentials that we could build our focal point around national awareness building and our promotional campaigns that met both learners and enterprise where they were. Promotion and awareness building turned into one of the most important activities for the project, one which I will admit was somewhat overlooked at the beginning of the project. But it was this sustained marketing and brand building was essential to help learners and enterprise understand why micro-credentials were important and what ultimately they could do for them to help address skills needs. Finally, Pillar 4 focused on the delivery at scale. Across our partner universities, more than 600 micro-credentials were developed across a wide range of disciplines and skills priorities. This breadth of provision demonstrated the capacity of the university sector to respond quickly and robustly to emerging skills needs while maintaining academic quality. Just as important, it showed that universities can adapt delivery models to meet learners where they are with formats that importantly fit around both personal and professional commitments. In doing so, Pillar 4 translated policy ambition into tangible learning outcomes, supporting workforce upskilling, talent retention, and lifelong learning in practice. Together, these 4 pillars have laid a strong foundation for the mainstreaming of lifelong learning within Ireland's higher education system. While there are countless people who, across the project and the partner universities, who deserve recognition today, there's one group in particular that I'd like to shine a spotlight on. They truly were the backbone of all of the work that we achieved within their respective universities. They translated the vision of the project into tangible results in their universities, even when systems told them it couldn't be done. They were also, unfortunately, at the receiving end of many passive-aggressive emails from me over the lifetime of the project. I'm actually truly afraid to think of what I'm saved as in their phones. I am, of course, talking about our MicroCreds Project Leads. Without them, we would not have achieved half of what we've managed to do in such a short amount of time. If everyone would indulge me, I'd like to give them a round of applause in recognition. They will kill me for that afterwards. Looking ahead to the future, the legacy of the MicroCreds project will continue to support stakeholders through the sustainable systems it has created. Vital project outcomes, such as our national framework, will continue to support the higher education system and will provide continued stability to learners and enterprise in the years ahead. MicroCreds.ie and our approach to marketing and awareness building will be continued on through the future work of the HEA in the management and development of the platform. Most importantly, though, our universities will continue their commitment and work to develop micro-credentials and lifelong learning provisions that support upskilling and reskilling in Ireland. The true legacy of the MicroCreds project, though, will be the impact it has had on tens of thousands of learners who have engaged with courses across our partner universities. These are people who have engaged with courses to upskill, reskill, and advance their careers. While so much has been achieved by the MicroCreds project in a short amount of time, what matters most now, though, is building on this momentum together. The job isn't done, and in many ways it feels like we're still at the early stages of it, with some of our biggest challenges ahead. Universities, enterprise, and policymakers need to continue to collaborate together to ensure that flexible learning becomes a permanent feature in Ireland's skills ecosystem, and that it continues to adapt and evolve to meet the needs of learners, not just of today, but of tomorrow as well. Thank you very much.